Variola, the smallpox virus pictured above, is a non-living pathogen, therefore it technically can't die. Its natural habitat is any living organism in which the pathogen can hijack its genetic instructions.
There are multiple ways an initial infection may occur. Directly from person to person, indirectly from an infected person, via contaminated items, biological warfare. Let's look at these more closely. Direct transmission of the virus requires fairly prolonged face-to-face contact. The virus can be transmitted through the air by droplets that escape when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or talks. In rare instances, airborne virus can spread farther, possibly through the ventilation system in a building, infecting people in other rooms or on other floors. Smallpox can also be spread through contact with contaminated clothing and bedding, although the risk of infection from these sources is less common. A deliberate release of smallpox is a remote threat. However, because any release of the virus could spread the disease quickly, government officials have taken numerous precautions to protect against this possibility, such as stockpiling smallpox vaccines. Pregnant women and immunocompromised individuals were at most risk for the infection. However, because of smallpox global eradication, the parties most at risk today are individuals who are not vaccinated and scientists engaging in laboratory work with the virus. The origin of smallpox is unknown. Smallpox is thought to date back to the Egyptian Empire and around 3rd century BCE, based on a smallpox-like rash found on 3 mummies. The earliest written description of a disease that clearly resembles smallpox appeared in China in the 4th century CE. Early written descriptions also appeared in India in the 7th century. Smallpox was pretty much eradicated from the world. The United States last had a case in 1949. The last case that occurred naturally was in Somalia in 1977. On average, about 3 out of every 10 people with an active infection of smallpox will die from the disease. In the 1950s, more than 15 million cases of smallpox were reported each year. It is believed that smallpox has killed more than 500 million people in the last century alone. Some of the symptoms are delirium, diarrhea, excessive bleeding, fatigue, high fever. But the most known symptom is the chronic rash pictured above.
Skin cells are targeted by the virus. The pathogen enters the cell and multiplies mRNA in the cytoplasm until the cell is suffocated by excess mRNA, causing smallpox symptoms. Rashes and scabs form. Rashes lead to intravascular coagulation, hypotension, cardiovascular collapse, and bleeding of the skin and intestinal tract. It spreads from person to person when the virus is breathed in and roots in the mouth or trachea. It then breaches the membrane through endocytosis. When diagnosed, it is usually mistaken for chickenpox. However, the lesions of smallpox are more concentrated to the face. Vaccine is the only treatment. It's preventable but not treatable. The vaccine creates a sore which bumps up, blisters with pus, and falls off as a scab 3 weeks later. Smallpox has a 20 to 40% death rate after 7 days. It is not curable.